The story did not begin with gunfire or shouting. It began with laughter. Quiet at first, the kind that spreads through a room when confidence turns into arrogance. The training field sat under the open sky, heat rising from the ground, sweat already soaking into uniforms long before the first drill began. A visiting unit had arrived with reputations that preceded them. Stories followed them wherever they went. Elite, untouchable, legendary. They carried themselves like men who believed the outcome was decided before the first whistle blew. Across the field stood the Filipino soldiers, calm, focused, quiet. No grand gestures, no loud words, just men adjusting straps, checking boots, exchanging brief nods. They had heard the comments. They understood the looks. They had felt this before from outsiders who underestimated them because of size, accent, or geography. They did not respond. They never did. The first exercise was simple on paper. Movement, positioning, reaction time. Nothing extraordinary. But the moment it began, something shifted. The Filipino unit moved like a single organism, each man knowing where the other would be without needing to look. Their pace was steady, controlled, precise. The opposing unit moved fast, aggressively, but with gaps. Small ones at first, barely noticeable. But in combat, gaps are invitations. By the end of the first run, the score was 1-0. No celebration, no reaction, just a reset. Some laughed it off. One round meant nothing. Confidence remained high. The second run began with louder voices, more aggression. Orders barked with urgency. But urgency does not replace coordination. The Filipino unit adapted instantly, reading patterns, anticipating movement, exploiting overconfidence. 2-0. Still no reaction from them. They simply returned to position, breathing evenly, eyes forward. By the third round, silence replaced laughter. Jokes faded. The heat felt heavier. Mistakes became visible. Footsteps too loud. Signals too obvious. The Filipino soldiers moved through it all like they had trained for this exact moment their entire lives. 3-0. This was no longer a friendly exercise. The fourth engagement changed everything. Pressure mounted. Pride entered the equation. The visiting unit pushed harder, faster, louder. But pressure without discipline collapses inward. The Filipino unit waited, patient as stone, then closed the trap. 4-0. A pause followed, not an official one, but the kind where everyone knows something has gone wrong. Sweat dripped. Helmets came off. Eyes avoided contact. Across the field, the Filipino soldiers drank water, adjusted gear, and waited. No taunts, no smiles. Respect without arrogance. The fifth round was desperation disguised as determination. Every move telegraphed. Every decision rushed. The Filipino unit did not rush. They never needed to. 5-0. By now, the score felt unreal. Whispers spread. Observers shifted their weight. The atmosphere thickened. This was not the story anyone expected to tell when the day began. The final round started quietly. No shouting, no bravado, just the sound of boots on earth and controlled breathing. It ended faster than all the others. 6-0. No cheers followed. No raised fists. The Filipino soldiers stood still, waiting for instruction. Across from them, heads lowered. A hand rose. Then another, a request came, not loudly, but clearly enough. To stop. What happened next mattered more than the score. There was no celebration, no humiliation. The Filipino unit approached, offering hands, water, quiet words. Respect flowed where arrogance once stood. The lesson landed without needing explanation. Skill does not shout. Discipline does not boast. Experience does not need to mock. Later, away from the field, conversations happened. Honest ones. About training in jungles where mistakes cost lives. About adapting to terrain, weather, and unpredictability. About humility being as important as strength. Stories were exchanged, not as rivals, but as soldiers. The laughter from earlier felt distant now, replaced by something heavier and more meaningful. Understanding. This was not a story about one unit being better than another. It was about the danger of underestimation, about how quiet preparation can dismantle loud confidence, about how respect is earned, not assumed. The score would be remembered, 6-0. But the real outcome was what followed. A shift in perception. A reminder that excellence exists everywhere, often in places the world overlooks. Long after the field emptied and the heat faded, the lesson remained. Not written in reports or headlines, but carried by those who witnessed it. Arrogance walks in loudly. Reality arrives without warning. And when it does, there are no excuses left to make.